What is strategic thinking? Really, when you hear someone say, we need to be more strategic, or we need more strategic ideas, or what is a strategic approach here? What are they actually talking about? Let me show you exactly what strategic thinking is and what it is not. Hi there, my name is Ruben Ugarte, and I'm an expert in strategy and decision making. And I help organizations formulate strategies that allow them to create an exciting future. So naturally, the concept of strategic thinking comes up often. Are we actually thinking strategically, or are we thinking tactically, which is the opposite? Now let me show you 3 ideas or situations that can give you a flavor for what strategic thinking really is and where it diverts into something else. The first distinction is you can think about there's a what and there's a how. The what is really the strategy, the how is the tactics. So I work with an organization, a non-for-profit, and they decided that their strategic focus areas were going to be communication, the structure of the organization, leadership, and finances. 4. Now, from there, they of course have to figure out, okay, for communication, what does that mean? Now, should we have maybe a chat system like Slack or Microsoft Teams? Should we have better policies and so on? But the moment you start doing that, you have now moved away from the strategy into the how, right? So a team can cover both. I admit some teams are small enough that they need to cover both, but it's important to remember that you're no longer doing strategy. Now you're doing tactics. And that distinction is really important to ensure that you actually approach things in the right place. If you start at the bottom up, if you say, hey, should we adopt Slack or Microsoft Teams? It may work out, it may not. It's hard to say because there's no framework under which strategy was made. No one said, hey, communication is clearly one of the 4 priorities, like the example I'm giving you. So we should figure out tools for that. That's the value of starting with the high level, the 3, 4, 5 strategic focus areas, and then drilling down into the tactics. Second thing, I once worked with a CEO who used to micromanage everybody and just go all the way down to marketing and finances and sales. And it was really quite detrimental. It really prevented people from figuring out their own decisions. So he was going all the way from the strategy, this is what we should do as an organization, all the way down to the tactics, the extreme tactics of this is the sales script that we should be using. And that's what can happen if you don't really approach strategy and tactics separately. You can have a blurring of the lines and say, hey, is this really strategy or is this really tactics? The third thing I want to mention here is actually what Disney did back in 2005. At that point, they were trying to figure out what was next for the organization. And they came up, or they decided on 3 strategic areas. They were going to develop creative content, they were going to increase their international reach, and they were going to distribute direct to consumers. From these 3 areas, which can seem broad and almost vague, many decisions fell through, right? All of a sudden, it made sense to acquire Marvel. It made sense to acquire Star Wars or Lucasfilm. It made sense to develop the Disney Plus app, right? These were all things that then teams and divisions can say, okay, great. This is the 3 focus areas. How can we help with the distribution direct to consumers? How can we help with international reach? How can we help to create content? And of course, what's not being said in this is that besides those 3 areas, there were many things that Disney decided not to focus on, right? You don't hear a big focus on parks, though I'm sure changes were done to parks. You don't hear about, for example, them maybe licensing content or things like that, because that's not directly with the consumers. So strategy in and itself tells you what not to do as much as what to do. So if you choose the areas properly, if you define strategy correctly, then the decisions that follow from that should be easier because you have constraints. You know where to focus on and you know what's not in play, what's out of bounds. That's all I have for today. Just a very short video on strategic thinking, how to develop or how to know that you're actually doing strategy and how to know when you actually move over into tactics, and then how can this apply in your career or your organization. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. There's a few links in the description box below for my website, my newsletter, the Growth Needle, which I think you'll find really helpful. and a few other things that can help you further dive into similar ideas. Until next time, talk soon.